Now what we're seeing is at certain, just heavy lifting in a plant, well, there's not a person who will do that. They've been trying to
Right.
hire that position.
Right.
So it's less about ROI, and it's just, can you provide a solution so that I can realize the capacity of my line?
Mm-hmm.
And I still need 3 more people somewhere else, but can you help me in this area?
Welcome to Manufacturing Insiders. Today I have Joey Koenig and Evie Hango with me. They are involved in, Joey is president of 7robotics, which is a robotics integrator, really working with sort of a broad industry, industry set. Evie works with both 7robotics and Con-Vey. Con-Vey is specifically targeted to the woodworking, wood manufacturing scenario. So they are going to provide us with some very interesting insights today about kind of the future of automation and robotics. What are the applications? How can mid-market manufacturers start to integrate these sorts of technologies? I'm always interested in kind of digging into how some of these, mid-sized shops that might be in high mix, low volume can start to incorporate some of these things that are going to allow them to stay competitive in a global market. So welcome to Manufacturing Insiders, Joey and Evie. I am glad to have you here.
Glad to be here, Nate. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, and before I get too far into it, just like to make a note, if you are enjoying the content we're putting out, please give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. Like this video. If you're interested in coming on Manufacturing Insiders and you're a leader with some insights to share with the space, please go to manufacturinginsiders.com and fill out the form there, and we'd love to have you on. So Joey, give us a little bit of your background and how you got in the president role at 7robotics.
You bet, Nate. So I came on board as business director. We're an engineering-led company, but needed some sales leadership. That was 4 years ago, and have gone into the president's role as of the beginning of this year. A little bit about our company history. As you mentioned, we're a sister company with Con-Vey, and they are known for plant scale automation in the wood products industry. And they're an 80-year-old company, almost 80 years old.
Wow.
And so they started integrating robots maybe going back as far as 15, 16 years ago. And they would put a robot on a line where it made sense, but it was always an ad hoc application, and they'd get their top engineer to work on it. He would program it, but at the end of the day, they wouldn't, it kind of stopped there, and they wouldn't have a robot application maybe for another year or two. Flash forward to 2015, mid-20-teens, and the field is growing in robotics. Leadership team, Dave Laracy and his team, were seeing growing field, more application, and thought that Con-Vey could do well by having a dedicated team, a dedicated marketing strategy around robotics. So that's the origins of the company. So we, as you mentioned, do industrial automation for the building products industry.
Gotcha. Okay. So Evie, give me a little bit of your background, and then just kind of explain to me, being in that marketing role, how do you kind of differentiate the offerings of Con-Vey and 7robotics, and then also, what's the value proposition? I mean, there's a lot of robotics integrators out there, a lot of hardware providers, etc. What do you say when you're promoting 7robotics to a random company?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having us again. But I've been here about 6 years and didn't have a background at all in manufacturing. So the first couple of years were a big lesson for me. But thankfully, we have a culture at Con-Vey, and I mean, this was before 7robotics, but a culture of, education and sharing knowledge and all of that. So I've definitely learned a lot, and it's been very interesting. And so uh, as far as your question about like differentiating the two, there is a lot of crossover between Con-Vey and 7robotics, and in a lot of ways, I think that's a good thing. We can work together and share, resources. Obviously, I'm one of those resources, but also like content as well. We have done some projects together. One down in Grants Pass for timber products. We did a panel repair line for plywood where there was 7robotics on 2 robots on either end, and then Con-Vey kind of brought everything together, and we worked with another partner out of Norway for that, some of that scanning and routing technology. So it's a fully automated line, and we got to kind of have this combined case study and video. So
Yeah.
a lot of the time it's great to be able to have that relationship between the two companies. But as far as a value proposition goes, and I can say this for both companies, there's a lot of great manufacturers out there, both for kind of what Con-Vey is doing with the primary wood space, and then what 7robotics is doing in robotics with building products. But I think our big differentiator for both companies is that relationship that we bring, and everything that we do is custom for both. So we have to work with the customer and collaborate, and that's definitely something that on the marketing side I try to bring out as much as possible, because we don't have these widgets or cookie cutter catalog type of products that we present, which in a way makes my job very difficult. It would be nice if we did have some of that, but that's where the team shines, and the engineers and the sales team and everybody that comes together to make those custom products. So we just try to highlight that a lot.
I see. And you guys have been recognized by ABB. I recall a pretty significant award there. Can you describe what that was?
Yeah, Joey can as well. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a glad you mentioned that, Nate, and we're very proud of that. ABB is the robotic manufacturer who we partner with. We're a value provider for them. We have used others, but we like ABB for various reasons. In North America, they have give or take 400 integrators in all kinds of industry. And what the award we won was the Innovation Award for 2025. So we're pretty proud of that. We're also on their commercial advisory board, which is one of 7 companies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that award, related to innovation, I guess what were the criteria? Who were you up against? Kind of what allowed you to win that award?
Evie, can you speak to the project itself?
I haven't looked at that recently, but yes,
So you submitted a project, and that's
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we actually were asked by some of our reps at ABB if we had any projects that would work for this innovation award, and of course we do.
Wasn't it like a pallet building?
What was that?
Was it?
Yeah, Nate. So some of the things that were innovative, and this might speak to, serving the mid-range industry or smaller companies. So this was a pallet building cell that is for mostly low volume, high mix manufacturers of, in this case, pallets and skids.
Mm-hmm.
But we've applied the same concept to fence panels, mailbox posts, kind of general reman application or remanufacture applications. This project itself integrated a 6-axis robot. We put a nail gun on there,
Mm-hmm.
and a vacuum pad. So multi-tool. There's some really good video going over the way we zoned safety within the cell, so a person can actually access the cell, and the robot will know they're there and continue work in another area while they're in the cell, and then they exit. Some pretty sophisticated safety around there.
Hmm.
One of the obvious benefits is a person doesn't have to operate a nail gun 8 hours a day. Maybe even more than that, though, is the stacking of whatever the finished product is. So the robot will, in this case, stack pallets about 20 high, and I think we can put 100 or 150 pallets finished product in there. We've
Right.
also done the same system with big 6x8 treated fence panels, and those are very awkward to handle. It's an ergonomic stressor and injury prone area of that particular plant. So that was, the safety part of the cell is where a lot of the innovation is, actually.
I see.
And
Okay.
where we fit in, of course, if you've been in a pallet plant, high volume, where they're doing 10 or 20,000 pallets a day or a week, this is not what we're doing. It's low volume, and our customers' benefit is that if they bring on another SKU, we've got a jig concept where they just send us a 3D model of their new SKU, and we'll design a jig. They can manufacture it themselves, and we'll give them a new program for that product. So
Okay.
they can continue to bring on new business and with minimal impact to get it implemented with their robot there.
Gotcha. Okay. And is this, can you see my screen?
Yes.
This is the system we're talking about?
Yeah, that's a variant of it, Nate. So this is designed for 8-foot skids, and because you have to. So this is pretty neat here. We're zooming in on nailing the boards to the bottom of the pallet.
Yep.
So we've got little cutouts in the plate to give the nail gun access. So you don't have to. We're spinning that on a rotisserie
Yeah.
fixture there, and that actually comes out of the welding industry.
Okay.
We're just repurposing it for wood here.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, can you give me an example? And I'm not sure if there may not be, but can you give me an example of a mid-sized shop that might be in machining or fabrication or metalwork? Do you have any case studies like that?
Well, we do not have any exposure into metalworking. Now
Okay.
I'm not sure if I could give you specific examples of that right now, Nate. So
Okay.
welding and metalworking is a huge sector for robots. Because of that, and because of the competition, we've stuck to the wood industry and some
Gotcha.
agriculture. Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the other spaces that 7robotics is looking to get into outside of the wood?
Yeah, we're looking to expand into agriculture. So we mainly basic palletizing and conveyance there.
Okay.
We've got some systems there. Some of it is moving back. Some of it is, here in the Willamette Valley of Oregon, there's it's one of the largest producers of like grass seed, and
Mm-hmm.
so you get a lot of seed, and you're doing mixing. You're mixing to a recipe, and so just picking up bags all day and ripping them open with the robot is something we have done and want to continue doing. Yeah, there's our industries that we focus on are primary wood, and then what we call secondary wood products. So that's a pretty wide field,
Mm-hmm.
and we've looked at projects where we're doing furniture assembly, architectural grid panels that go up in airports or commercial buildings. So we do some assembly, screwing and drilling pilot holes with the robot, aluminum ladder assembly, so riveting, things like that.
I see. Okay.
Uh,
Evie, You mentioned some of the workplace culture, and I noticed that seems to be a theme, on your websites, and a thing that you all like to talk about. Being sort of new to manufacturing when you started with the company. Like, what are some things that you thought were really cool about the way that they, built their company culture, and maybe some actual activities that you see happen that maybe other companies wouldn't do?
It's a good question. Honestly, I came from a like local credit union, so the mix of like women to men was a lot higher on the women's
Yeah,
side
a lot
there.
different. Yeah,
So we had a lot more festive like dress up days and
right,
food being brought in, and so coming here it was not that way.
right.
So we've definitely improved that over the years. I'm not taking credit for that at all, but we've improved our building space so that people have a more comfortable environment. We have, incorporated. I think a lot of it too is like they were doing things before I got here. They had, barbecue lunches that the supervisors would make for everybody, or breakfast or things like that. But there was just nobody to like share what was going on. So
Right.
I just came in, from that community credit union background where it was all about what are we doing in the community, and like it's people, not a number, and how can we promote that. So that was kind of the mindset I came from, and I feel like I've brought that into what we're doing here, and
Yep.
just promoting that community aspect more, and the
Yep.
culture and relationship building within the company. I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, I mean, yeah, you need women in a company. I mean, you really they add that touch, just like a house. Like when I was a bachelor, all my walls are white with nothing hanging on
right.
them. I've got like the faux leather couch sitting with the TV in front of it, and then
You
then
have a couch? Wow, that's
I did have a couch, but it was
A
very
nice.
futon.
yeah. And then a woman comes in, she's like, "This is just not acceptable. We got to paint this. We got to put this over here." Yeah.
Nate,
Little
just to
balls on the coffee table that don't do anything, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, a little bit about, I'm not sure if this is culture, but being located in Roseburg, Oregon, so southwestern Oregon, historically has been the timber capital of the
Mm-hmm.
world. Um, and so a lot of there's a legacy, or just a rich manufacturing history here. So we're building on top of that, but being in a small town in at the foothills of the Cascades, the type of people we attract typically are enjoy the outdoors. A lot of hunting, a lot of mountain biking.
Yep.
We've got an oddly high number of, like racing, motocross
Yep. Yep.
people, and all that's accessible here. And we're a small team, so it's a tight knit group. We travel a lot together. We do trivia. We have a weekly trivia. We've got a pretty strong team for that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's definitely a startup feel to it, although I wouldn't categorize us as a startup company.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because definitely having the experience of the Con-Vey, it's a little bit more of a advanced startup. Yeah. And I saw that picture of your building and they were like right nestled in the mountains there. A super cool
Yeah.
location. I could walk out back after work and archery hunt or whatever. I'm actually flying out to Montana in a few weeks here for elk hunt, my first elk hunt. So I'm pretty pumped about that. I don't know if
Well,
you
good
get
luck. Yeah. So we've got deer and all kinds of things right here out back, and our factory or our manufacturing space is just in front of me, and I'm looking at a shed that somebody picked up out back, a whitetail shed that just so you're amongst nature, and
yeah.
yeah, pretty
No, that's
pretty cool spot. Yeah.
a great dichotomy, the
Mhm.
cutting
Yeah.
edge of technology and in nature, which you need both, man. Being in digital marketing and digital space in front of a screen every day, I'm real big. Every year I go out for a hike for 7 days, and but I just go by myself. and I get out hunting, and you really need the nature aspect of things. So it's kind of cool that you have both right there. So when you are, kind of communicating to your team, Joey, from a vision standpoint, what role do you see 7robotics filling? What's that kind of grandiose, vision that you have for it?
Yeah, Nate, our 5-year vision is to be the premier integrator for building products, which is a big market that includes wood, but is not limited to wood. So that implies tremendous growth of the team, a much bigger sales footprint, and of course, our marketing efforts are helping that along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, podcasts like this, but we've got to not only attract sales, but attract technical talent to Roseburg, Oregon. So we've done a good job of that so far, and want to continue that.
Sure. Evie, what do you think the recipe is for that, to promote that vision and to kind of get 7robotics into that position?
Honesty, authenticity. I think there's I want to make sure we're not sugarcoating, but that we're showing, the good things too. So yeah, the reality of there is travel, maybe we want to make sure people know that and that we get the right people. So definitely a lot, I would say maybe even half of what I'm doing is not necessarily for sales. It's for recruitment, because we need to make sure we can hire good people to make a good product to have customers. So I find that to be a big part of what we're doing, through showing that culture, through showing, the processes of what people are working on, and what a day looks like. Haven't implemented it for 7robotics, but just recently posted a video for Con-Vey of a day in the life of a CNC machinist, and we plan to do a series of that to kind of show that reality. You have to wake up early and be here, and you have certain, breaks and times for lunches. And for some people, maybe they don't want that rigidity, but there's a lot of cool things that we do here too. And you have a lot of, freedom to try new things. And I think 7robotics is this way as well. You want to, we have interns right now. If you want to learn more about engineering, we'll take the time to share that with you and see if that's a path you want to go down, instead of maybe being a shop intern and doing the manufacturing side. So again, I think the recipe is being authentic, being real, showing them, what's possible, showing them the good things, because I think a lot of people, when they think of a place like Roseburg, they think it's boring, or there's not a lot of fun things to do. But for the right person that enjoys the outdoors and all the things that this area has to offer, I never thought I would stay here, but it's grown on me. So I feel like I'm a convert, and I'm a good example of making it work. So yeah.
Well, if there's a unemployed archery hunter, somewhere in the country listening, what positions do you have available now?
Joey?
Yeah, so our we're always looking for talent, Nate, but the positions that we anticipate to hire between now and the end of the year are one technical salesperson, one project manager who can have a varied background there, and then we're growing. So one of the fastest areas of growth, because we've been doing this now for going on 5 years, and as we deploy more systems, obviously our engineering hours and our manufacturing hours, we need more capacity, but as these systems are out there, companies rely on us to do maintenance, and your normal plant may or may not have a robotics maintenance person. So we're growing our field service team
Okay.
So a person who is hands-on, can read plans, maybe has equal weighted exposure to both mechanical and electrical systems. That's the
Yep.
type of person we're looking for, and who doesn't mind travel, because our equipment, while we make it all here in Roseburg, it goes out to the lower 48, Canada, and our next system's going down to South America.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity, and I mean, I'm assuming that you aren't, if somebody is technically competent and maybe doesn't have exact experience in robotics, but they're somebody that can figure things out. It sounds like you guys would be open to somebody like that.
That's right. And Nate, we don't. We're big on team chemistry, because we are so close, and kind of a high trust environment where we're relying heavily on each other.
Hmm.
We borrow this, but we're looking for people who are humble, hungry, and smart. So not arrogant, not lazy or entitled, and some baseline level of intelligence. And nobody's top scores in all three. So we've got a mix, but really, we don't. That's not a necessarily a degree required for any position unless you're a PE. And what we want is an energetic group of technical people who are curious and want to serve our customers.
Right. Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges yes, from my perspective, you're in the business, you might see a different one, but proving to the kind of those smaller to mid-sized shops that there's going to be an ROI on automation. I'm thinking, for example, of a wood door manufacturer that I work with. They make solid hardwood doors. They're actually one of the largest in the country, but it's still not that big, because it's a very specific market. A lot of these people are buying, the solid core doors, which aren't the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they make a great product, but they feel like everything they do is sort of custom-ish, and they can't really see the vision for automation. And they've even talked to some people, and it didn't sound like it was working out. How do you talk to somebody like that? How do you prove an ROI? What kind of analysis do you do to get to that point?
Well, Nate, that's a good question. That's a pretty central question to every conversation we have. By the way, we're in the door industry, and we really like that industry. We're moving doors, but what you have to do is so the bread and butter robotic application is a pick and place or palletizing application, and what we try to do is build on that and bring more value than just pick and place. So, for example, we've got a door manufacturer here in Oregon who builds commercial solid core doors, and they have a machine called an edge bander. So this is the machine that puts edging around the door, so whatever species they're matching the face.
Yep.
And they're cutting a bevel, and they're doing hinge routering and things like that.
Yep.
Now we do all the material handling around this system. So we pick a door up on the front end, and then we down stack it on the back end. That's the basic. But then we're going to add into that the conveyance and traffic control, because it's a 2-pass system. So we're going to move doors around the system, and as an integrator with Con-Vey and our DNA, we can do conveyance. So that's another layer of value. We do some pretty tight integration with that machine by utilizing barcodes on the doors. So we'll grab the door, scan the barcode with the robot,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're doing basically back-end networking, passing data to the machine, so it's automatically sizing, and then you're tracking that door through the system. We do all the safety around that too. So what we're always trying to do is layer on value on top of just one robotic arm. Right. And the more we can do that, the more the ROI makes sense. But I'll say something else about ROI that we've seen is that you're right. If you have a plant and you're going to lay out capital, ROI is important. Now, what we've seen, and certain areas of the country are more acute than others, but whereas you're analyzing ROI for a robot, now what we're seeing is at certain, just heavy lifting in a plant, well, there's not a person who will do that. They've been trying to hire that position.
Right.
So it's less about ROI, and it's just, can you provide a solution so that I can realize the capacity of my line? And I still need 3 more people somewhere else, but can you help me in this area? Right. So it's less about ROI and really about just getting back to some acceptable level of production with the rest of your line.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is a common theme that I'm kind of hearing is, we aren't finding people for these jobs. So that's why we need automation, not necessarily to make more money, but just to keep making money.
Yeah, keep making money. And the third thing on ROI there, Nate, is we mentioned it earlier, but flexible manufacturing also. So trying to look ahead and knowing enough about the customer and their product set to allow some slack in the future to bring in a new jig or program that can allow them to expand their finished products with the same robot. So just continue to get more and more out of those robotic arms.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Evie, what do you think the future of automation is?
Wow, what a loaded question.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I think that AI is not going to go away. I think that, well, first of all, I think a lot of people say AI when they mean something else, just because it's a buzzword right now.
Right.
I've seen that a lot in marketing, which is a little bit frustrating for us because we're not going to say we do AI and utilize it when we don't necessarily. But so it feels like sometimes we're missing out on that trend, or we're missing out on that buzzword. But I do think that is going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to become part of our everyday lives, whether that's personal lives or in business, to help streamline things and just make us more efficient. So I guess that's my answer.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I agree. AI is going to be an important part of all these solutions. And I've been interested to hear some of the ways people are incorporating AI. So like for robotics, if you have the ability to, fit a sensor as a tool on the end of that robot, it's gathering data. That data needs to go somewhere. It should go into an AI model that can make decisions based on it. And I just was kind of seeing this with another company that's doing like low voltage monitoring, so on your lighting, on your outlets, on your computers, it's monitoring all these things. And it can tell us some very interesting things. Like, it can tell you exactly how much time your employee is working because the computer's active or not. Or it can tell you, if a machine is starting to need maintenance because it's drawing more current or whatever it might be. So it's really interesting. And then all that goes into an AI model, which is then, giving this to you in a digestible format and helping you make decisions based on it. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting ways to do it, even if it isn't, like I kind of said before, the robot making an on-the-spot decision about, well, maybe I should do this instead or whatever it might be.
Yeah, we see it In fact, I've had two conversations with hardware providers this week, specifically with vision systems. So, of course, we're always trying to give the robot senses, vision being one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and we use basic cameras, 2D scanners, object recognition, all these things. But you're gathering images and being able to look at a board, and based on number of knots and all different dimensional criteria, train. It's machine learning in that case, but I guess it's packaged as AI. So teaching the robot to QC
Mm-hmm.
things like wood, which are infinitely unique in their characteristics.
Right.
AI is one core strength of AI is programming. That's
Mm-hmm.
a big thing we do. We have run tests to just verbally or text based ask for a program and studied what its output. It's not there yet for us, but I think the future of AI is offloading a lot of the programming that we do,
Mm-hmm.
which by the way is a big need anyways.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And then you mentioned Nate, you mentioned data analytics for like maintenance or preventative maintenance. So that's a big one. And Con-Vey has a platform built out that they put on their machine centers and to gather that data. And I think it's just a matter of applying that or putting that into an AI engine to start figuring out what to do with the data.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It's always
another,
surprising to me to see how you can use that data and I mean, just like even some of the ways that when I was talking to this guy about the electricity monitoring, I'd never really thought about using it like that. Occupancy and different applications. But yeah, it's very interesting to see where things are going to go with the whole AI story.
Well, and just to put a bow on it, our manufacturer ABB that we work very closely with announced that they were purchased this week by a SoftBank, who is a technology fund.
Mm-hmm.
But their stated rationale for the acquisition was to be in the center of physical AI.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit above my pay grade, but that seems to be the future of AI.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely right that the programming side, in robotics, and then the design side in your CAD CAM space are the things that we need to figure out an AI solution for. I just interviewed the president of Mastercam the other day, and so we were kind of talking about the future of design, and I said that I think there's going to be a time where you can just describe what you want it to make and be like, no, change that, it needs rounded corners or whatever, and you'll have a 90% done design without actually having to manipulate the software. And I think that in robotics it'll be the same thing. I think that you have a worker demonstrate it with a camera, and the robot can essentially copy what the worker was doing and determine what are the critical elements of that motion that actually needs to be done. And there you go. You got the robot program.
Yeah. I think that's the general direction there, Nate. But currently today we use quite a bit of technology to simulate, our lines before they're ever built in the physical world. So we use a platform called Robot Studio, which is a 3D simulator to check cycle times and payloads and clearance, and it has kinematics built into it, so you can make sure if you pick up a panel and it's maxed out the robot, you get errors. You can connect all your I/O virtually to the machine, and then now what we're doing it's funny that people are going away from 2D layouts, which is kind of how we originate any ideas in a 2D layout, but we're now going pretty quickly to the 3D environment, and when we're up on location, our sales team is traveling around every week, walking plants and doing automation audits, and if we have a space where a customer wants us to put a system, we do a 3D scan with the phone. Now bring that file in, and then we'll build we'll drop our simulation into that. But that's pretty powerful in and of itself, because you can see your real forklift paths and your bay doors and what you need to work around.
Right.
And you don't have any missed columns on a drawing that surprise you later. So that's pretty nice. That's not AI, but it's a lot of tech on the front end.
Right.
It's really powerful.
Yeah. So what opportunities are you looking, if there was a company listening and, they're interested in what you're doing, what's that right company for you to work with right now? Kind of size, what are they doing, sort of thing. And then are there any other resources or, services or anything else like that you've been kind of keeping your eye out for, that if somebody's listening and they have it, they might be able to reach out to you?
Yeah, I'll take the first one there, Nate. Our experience with customers is kind of runs the gamut from large public Fortune 500s to one plant, family-led businesses. We more and more are finding ourselves talking with people who have zero robots on their factory.
Yep.
So I think we are good at walking through that with the person, making them at ease with the unknowns of having a robot there, and being flexible enough, like Evie mentioned at the start. All our projects are custom, so we have to be pretty strong on the project management and the communication along the way. So I would say that if you're a small manufacturer in the U.S. And are interested in automation, give us a call and we can help you through that process.
Got it. Evie, I have a separate question for you. You go to a lot of trade shows, right? Quite a few. Going to FabTech, it kind of got me thinking about some of these companies that have booths there, and a lot of them are, pretty rudimentary. And, I wondered, when you go to trade shows, what are some things that you've observed that could help somebody be successful at a trade show? Like, what do you do to get leads while you're there?
For us, when we're thinking about what we're going to have at the booth, is like all about how can we attract somebody,
Sure.
or the right person, actually, not just anybody, but the right person. And a lot of that we see like success in, if you can bring your equipment or like samples of it. For us, unfortunately, we can't really do that unless we want to bring in a whole industrial robot, and it's just been out of our range so far. But one of the things that we do is definitely making sure we have one big TV screen or multiple TVs showing off video of all the different systems that we've done, simulations, and just the projects and the work that we do to give people a visual and a clear picture of that. One of the things that I still see in our industry of manufacturing is way too many words on signs. Put less words on your signs.
Right.
You don't need to say everything.
Yep.
Just like have a clean looking booth Put your logo there, maybe a short phrase, but even that, I don't know about.
Yeah.
And let your people do the talking. You like maybe have a flyer, brochure type of thing, but like let your visuals do the talking to attract people. And just make sure you're marketing it beforehand to let people know that you're going to be there and what you're going to, be showing off and things like that. I guess that would be my short, quick answer for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. The visuals are huge, and I, even like I saw there was, people that are making components and they don't have any samples on their table. It's like come on, like give us something to look at here, right? What about you? Like you're obviously getting a list of contacts while you're there. What is kind of your recipe for follow up? Do you wait till the next week and send an email, or what? Do you have kind of a sequence that goes on? Like how do you do that?
Yeah, Joey can probably speak a little bit more to this, but at some of the shows that offer it, there's a lead retrieval app where you can scan the badge, and that's a really quick and easy way to grab that contact information. So we will get that whenever it's available and possible, and then you can make notes on it. I don't know the exact tactics of some of the sales team, but definitely following up. I would say less than a week. Personally, I would say within like a couple days. To a week, but sending an email. Sometimes I'll help the guys with like a template of what to say and customizing it to the person. But maybe Joey can speak a little bit more to that strategy after the show.
Yeah, well, going back, it's pretty basic sales 101, but for us, again, because these are custom systems and the quoting process is iterative, it sometimes is a lot of information coming back and forth. We can stack up a quote log that's pretty daunting. So our first step is like to get all that clear before we go to a trade show, because we know we're going to have a lot to quote afterwards. So being prepared to take action right after the trade show. And then again, our sales process is we don't have anything on the shelf to sell. It's a custom engineered solution. So we're lining up Teams calls like this, within days, that if there is any meat on the bones, we'll be on a plane in the plant, within weeks. And because of the scale of what we're selling and the the novelty of it, in many cases, it is an in-person sell, and I can't think of any system we've sold without being on site at least once. Usually more than once.
Yep, that makes sense. Well, I think you both provided a lot of helpful insights, from the trade shows to the, integration of robotics and some of the sales tactics. So I really appreciate you coming on today and giving me your insights and spending some time with me.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thanks for reaching out, Nate. Really appreciated it, and look forward to seeing your content in the future.
Sounds great.